What's up? It is Akira the Don, and it is the This Week in Meaningwave podcast. This week in Meaningwave, we are welcoming a brand new addition to the Meaningwave universe in the full album format. We've had a couple singles, but welcoming to the Meaningwave universe with his first full-length album in collaboration with your friendly neighborhood Don, who is I. I'd like a big round of applause for Emperor Marcus Aurelius Antoninus Augustus, aka Marcus Aurelius. Immortal Wavelord. I'll give him a Wavelord title. You know, I'm the Wavelord. There's a high title to bestow. I think he gets it. Born April 26th in the year 121, died March 17th, the year 180, and yet, as immortal a human as you could imagine, really. I mean, this guy definitely existed, and he definitely still exists. He definitely existed 2,000 years ago as a Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, and he definitely still exists now as older and so much more. Well, I guess he's not a Roman emperor anymore, but you know what I mean. Like, I don't know how many copies of his book are sold each year, but it's got to be a lot. Meditations, aka the greatest Twitter account of all time, of 2,000 years ago, in which Marcus Aurelius distilled all of his wisdom into, apparently the thing was never supposed to be published. I guess it was just notes to himself, so he was just like writing down the things he'd learned and really trying to crystallize them. He was like a Naval Ravikant of his day, if Naval Ravikant also happened to like rule an empire. And Meditations, his book, like, I really got into that a couple years ago. It's one of those things, it's always been around. And you've always heard it quoted from, and I've been aware of Marcus Aurelius quotes my whole, most of my life, I think Hunter S. Thompson used to quote him, He's one of those guys you've always heard his stuff somewhere. But I didn't really read Meditations until a couple years ago. And it's one of those ones where like every paragraph you highlight in it. If you're reading it on your Kindle, you're like saving it, you know what I mean? And if you're reading it in a book, and I did both, you'd be there with your marker, or you'd be folding a page so you can come back to that shit later, because like it's all gems. It's all gems. It's all so good and relevant and useful. And you go, wow, all of these things, all of these issues, all of these problems that confront and plague modern man. This motherfucker, he had the answers to this shit 2,000 years ago. My guy Nas, what did he say? He said, "No idea is original. There's nothing new under the sun. It isn't what you do, but how it's done." There's a truth in that. Like, the answers, like, any problem you might have, it's quite likely that someone worked that shit out thousands of years ago. And you think about what your problems are, what the problems in the world are, like, whether it's like diet or health, or how to deal with other people, or how to deal with pressure or anxiety or pain or suffering or death, whatever it is, like, motherfuckers thought that shit through. These things have been considered, and a lot of it, like, pretty much most of it has been worked out. I guess, we create some new problems that, modern problems require modern solutions type thing, but not necessarily, man. A lot of modern problems just require 2,000-year-old solutions that my guy Marcus wrote down in his little diary. couple of thousand years ago. But here's the thing about meditations. It ain't no storybook. It ain't no novel. It's not a thing you can just sit there and you're like reading it ooh, I can't wait to get to the next bit. It's more like, ooh, I want to like soak this bit in. This is like, I don't want to forget this bit. Maybe I should just sit here and reread the same page over and over. And what it is, obviously, is it's something that really lends itself to a psychotechnology that was developed by a guy called Akira the Don. It was sort of became popular in around 2018. It was the result of a life's work, but I guess it was really put together properly in around 2018. And this psychotechnology aims to, distill the wisdom of the ages and put it into a form that the human can take in and use it to really integrate those ideas, right? Using an ancient human weapon called music. And that human psychotechnology, or in the wrong hands, weapon of music, has been used for all kinds of crazy things over the years. And some say the Egyptians used it to build their pyramids back in the day. I mean, nowadays, what we use it for, like to, make girls get on all fours and like try and break light fixtures with their asses, which is what was going on in the club on Saturday. I swear, man, every week I DJ, like, the dancing gets more lewd. And it's very interesting because it used to be that like black girls would come in the club and like shake their asses, and the white girls would sort of like giggle shyly. Now the white girls just come straight up in the club and just like they're straight on the floor, like upside down type thing. And they're very happy and they're enjoying themselves, and it's a beautiful thing. But like people have been using music to do all sorts of crazy things, to woo ladies, to sell soap and cars. Like the advertising people, they worked this out a long time ago. There is such a thing as a jingle, and the jingle, you take the idea that the advertisers want in your head and you put it in a catchy bit of music, and then that thing is stuck in your head. People be singing these jingles. People be singing jingles from the 50s today. And people be out there buying things because it was in a catchy song. And you think that all that pop music you're listening to, with all of its messaging, whatever it's talking about, like whether it's like, who is it today? Oh, people been sending me. But my guy AJ Cortez, he tweeted something about like simp music. What was it? I'll look it up. I can't remember exactly what he said. He's talking about sad boy music, sad boy music. Sad boy music has been a thing over the past 7 years because, we swung into that was the swing, the cultural swing. You go from the psychedelic, light, bright, happy, joyful to the nihilistic, dark, punk, gloomy, etc. So Young Lean was really a pioneer. Young Lean is a Swedish rapper. He emerged in around 2012, was it? He came just after Little B. And he called his thing, he was a sad boy. That was his wave, and he sort of rapped about being sad and awkward, and and he's very influential. He's very influential. I don't know if people give him his props in the way they should, but like a lot of mainstream trade. You listen to Juice WRLD, rest in peace, like brilliant artist, but lyrically, man, he was just singing a lot of sad, miserable stuff. He was, not very useful stuff. Just like, I'm sad, I can't interact with women in any kind of a positive way. I'm gonna take loads of drugs to ease my pain, and it's like, that's what Kurt Cobain was on. You know what I mean? Loved Kurt Cobain too, man. When I was 13, he was my favorite. I love Nirvana. These things come in cycles. But it's like, what did Alexander J.A. Cortez say? He said, once you realize music is mental programming, your inclination to listen to sad boy music of men pining for women that rejected them will cease instantly. Much of popular music today is bottom-tier male whining. Reject all of it. Anything you consume becomes a part of you. I'm just no good for you, don't deserve you, I wish you'd choose me. That's 90% of mainstream pop and hip-hop. Plug that in your brain for hours every day. It is beta programming, and you consume it willingly because it's catchy. And he's not wrong. He's not entirely wrong. There are other programs in the music as well. What's Ariana Grande, Lizzo, all that type of stuff. That's all, yo, girl, you're great just the way you are. You don't need no stupid man. Yeah, you know, blah, 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 blah. All that type of thing. It's apparently empowering. Like, here's one thing which is unfortunate but true, right? Self-love is not looking in the mirror and going, yeah, that's fine. Actually, that's amazing. Yeah, I love that. That's brilliant, right? It's actually not, unless you happen to have been putting in an incredible amount of work and you've reached peak human. That's not self-love. That's a kind of weird kind of self-abuse, right? Because what you're doing is you're stopping that you becoming all that it could be. You know, that's abuse. You know, self-love is looking in the mirror going, you're a bad motherfucker. Right, but what can we fix here? All right, how could you be more of a bad motherfucker? How could you be closer to congruency? How could you be closer to God? How could you be closer to your potential? You know what I mean? Like, how can we work to make you as healthy as possible, as smart as possible, as useful as possible, you know, as incongruent as possible? That's self-love, Lizzo. But, you know, Scott Adams, he says, you know, he doesn't listen to music because it's dangerous. Music is dangerous. Like, Scott Adams makes the point, you know, he's like, music is dangerous because you could put on a song and it can completely change your mood. And that can completely then, therefore, alter what you do, how you act, how you react in whatever situation you happen to be in. What are you up to that day? What are you up to? What have you got going on? You listen to the wrong bit of music, that could change everything, man. That could change the whole future. The wrong piece of music could change your future, and your future can change the world. So you choosing the wrong music to listen to today, right, that can have real serious effects on the galaxy, on the universe, on everything beyond that, all right? It's a serious decision you're making when you choose to press play or shuffle. Shuffle, that's rolling the dice. You got to have picked a smart playlist, dude. You got to be careful. Yo. And, you know, that's why I invented the psychotechnology that we call Meaningwave. Because I know full well the power of music. All right? I know full well the power of music. I've been working with music my whole life. That's all I know. That's all I do. It's my first memories. The power of music is very, very evident. Us, you know, just on a basic level, I mean, the club, I can play a couple records, man. I could play, like, I reckon I've done it before in 2. I reckon 3, you can get people to start fighting. You choose the three right records in sequence at the right time of night, you can have people fighting. Similarly, you can have people doing the opposite. You can bring people together. You know, you'd be playing certain kinds of records in the club and they'll get people to start dancing in a certain way. Someone might choose a partner or whatever, you know, and like dance with someone they never met before. If you then play another certain kind of record after that brings them closer together, they can start making out. Or you can destroy that relationship there and then. So, you know, sometimes I've done that. I've made those decisions. Like, there was one time, not too long ago, it's a really sweet girl. She comes down, she listened to me on the High Existence podcast and became a fan, you know, and she was dancing. She got real drunk and she's dancing with this guy, and this guy was obviously like a creep. He was obviously a creep, you know, and they were coming closer together. So I deliberately played some masculine shit that would and sort of like, and then Lulu, which caused the dancing to go in such a direction that the guy could not, like, because she was well drunk, man. Like, she was not in control of her shit, and this guy was absolute fucking, like, he was definitely a rapist, you know. So I used music to avert a potential rape. It did, you know. And you got to do that shit sometimes, you know. And so you could think about that on a mass level, you know what I mean? Think about that on the macro, you know. Think about that on the macro. What was that? I was reading Robert Cialdini's book Persuasion, which is about how it's the science of what comes before persuasion, when you set things up, when you lay the ground to be persuasive. They found that in wine shops that played French music, people bought more French wine. Like, way more. And then when they asked the people after they made their purchases, like what went into the decision, none of them said the music. None of them even thought about it. None of them even noticed it. Music is powerful shit, man. We don't even know how powerful. I don't know if the government's done tests on this. I don't know if the CIA done tests on this or shit. But like, I ain't seen nothing public about. Like, they should really be investigating this in a really hardcore fashion. This is the most powerful substance known to man, and you can't even touch it. You know, it ain't like some sneaky. You know, it ain't like a liquid that you could like drip on someone or whatever. There's some shit you can just like blow it through the air. You know, like everyone's all freaking out about coronavirus and shit. Like, if I don't touch you, you know what I mean? And like, you don't get your shit in the little holes. You know, I got some nostrils. I got like eyeballs. You know what I mean? If I keep those things like away from you, you can't hurt me. But you could play some music at me right now, and that could fuck up my whole day. And it could go in and never leave. Some music goes in and it doesn't cut, and you don't notice it. It bubbles back out again like 20 years later. You know? So anyway, what I figured was, well, meditations. This is not, you couldn't turn this into a movie. You know? This is a great Twitter account, but you don't kind of want to be reading like one tweet a day over the course of 30 years, you know? Or the course of a year, maybe. And thinking about it a lot. No, in fact, there is no better way, no more optimal a way to make use of the insane nuclear level wisdom in meditations than using the powerful psychotechnology of Meaningwave to turn it into music. But you know, I had to mutate Meaningwave for it to work. Because here's the thing, Marcus Aurelius, he's immortal, but is dead. His body is not here and functioning. You know? What his spirit is up to, well, we'll get into that in a little minute, actually, because I kind of do, but the body is not active. So then it's like, well, I could get someone to read his writings, like with a very noble sort of a voice, maybe. Like, then it's like, if you're trying to be super authentic, you'd want to get like an Italian, but what did Italians even talk like 2,000 years ago? And like, I don't know. There's a couple of people on YouTube. I can't remember this one guy. He's got a great YouTube channel, and he just reads Stoic texts. He's got a great voice. It was like, I could hit that guy up. Sure, he wouldn't mind. And I thought, nah, there's something better. And I thought, I wonder what it'd sound like if I read it, but like as if I was performing a rap. I saw a video someone tweeted, and it was a guy reading the newspaper in a Drake voice. And he just read the newspaper, but in Drake's voice over a beat, and it just sounded like Drake, and it was hilarious. You know, it's kind of like, I kind of had that. I was like, let me just read a bit of meditations. I was making a bit of music at the time. And I started reading. I just let it flop open. I started reading. And, which bit was it? I got it. I think I know. Do I have a recording of it? I think I got a recording of doing that somewhere. But anyway, it was literally just when you wake up in the morning, ask yourself, tell yourself. And it was dope. It wasn't just dope. I gave myself an all over body chill. You know, I just opened the book, flops open. I had this music I was starting to work on. I was like, when you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, the people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and I recognize that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own. Not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And without even thinking, I repeated that. Not of the same blood or birth, but the same mind, and possessing a share of the divine. And so none of them can hurt me. No one can implicate me in ugliness, and nor can I feel angry at my relative or hate him. Because we were born to work together like feet, hands, and eyes, like the two rows of teeth, upper and lower. To obstruct each other is unnatural. To feel anger at someone, to turn your back on him. These are obstructions. So, discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth, grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart, without thinking. Repeat. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. And it was like, hang on, that's the chorus there. That's it. So repeat. Discard your thirst for books so you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Discard your thirst for books. And I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. At the same time, my head's going, what? And it's coming out my face. So you won't die in bitterness, but in cheerfulness and truth. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. Grateful to the gods from the bottom of your heart. And I was like, yo, oh shit, what just happened there? Wow. It was like I had been possessed. All the melody and all the rhythm that was inherent in the words all came out all at once. I was like, oh shit, so this is how we do it. This is what we do. And then next thing I knew, there was more songs, and then it was this weird thing with meditations, right? Because I was like, okay, how am I going to do this? At first I thought I'll just like take the coolest bits, but it's all cool. It's all good. It's all good. It's weird, right? The way it's structured, it's like it starts, like the first book is just him doing shout outs. Not just. I mean, it's him doing shout outs. It's like the liner notes of a CD where you're like, oh, thanks to my mom. You know, shouts out to my mom. Like she, she didn't kick me out of the house. Well, not till I was whatever, you know what I mean? And, thanks to my dad, like gave me good taste in records or whatever. That's like the whole first book. And the way it seemed it was working out was basically like each book of meditations was working out about like 5 songs worth of words type thing. So like, I think it's 8 books in meditations. So the album Meditations Volume 1, that's just the first 2 books. But here's the thing, because I was like, can I really do this sequentially? Because the first book, that'd be the first half of the album. He's basically doing shout outs. How could that be a good song? Yo, you, if you've not heard that shit, you wait till you hear that shit. Shout outs from a guy like Marcus Aurelius, connected with a guy like your boy the Don. Yo, that's like, I was so shocked. Because I just reading it with my eyes. There's another thing about the way we do stuff these days. Here's another thing about the printing press. The printing press gave us a lot, but it also robbed us of a lot. Because back in the day, you just remembered books. And you remembered books because, like, you didn't read a book. You heard, you engaged in a story. You and your homies and your peoples, you'd all be around a fire telling the story of the book together. And it'd be like, I'd say this bit, and the other guy'd say the next bit, and the other guy'd say the next bit, and and then we'd all join in on another bit, and we'd all be doing it together. It's like the telling of the story, the telling of the myths, of the epic poems, all that type of thing. You were involved, and you heard what it sounded like, and you felt what it was, and you felt it coming out of your face, and you understood the weight of it in a way that is difficult to do just reading with your eyes real fast. The way you read with your eyes, like 3 times as fast as with your mouth. And so that's good in a lot of ways, man. It brought all these things to us. It gave us so much, but it robbed us of that. And when you're reading these things out loud through your face, and it comes up, it comes out of your face. That's where it emerges, but it goes through all of you, and it reverberates through your whole being. Your whole being kind of shakes with the power of it. And then when you're giving it weight of rhythm, which is what you're doing to make it work with the music. You put some weight to the rhythm of the words, his stewardship at the treasury, his willingness to take responsibility. Who was that? I can't remember who he was talking about there. Oh yeah, he was talking about his adopted father. You know, compassion, unwavering adherence to decisions once he'd reached them, indifference to superficial honors, listening to anyone who could contribute to the public good, his dogged determination to treat people as they deserved, a sense of when to push and when to back off, his altruism, not expecting his friends to keep him entertained at dinner or to travel with him. You see how all that like rhymes? He didn't write rhymes. I mean, here's another thing about this, right? These are translations. Now, to make this record, I worked with a couple of different translations. Like, I got most of it from one, but like in certain places, I was cross-referencing multiple translations because sometimes people translate and like the meaning kind of gets a bit lost because maybe you translate something in the 60s and meaning of words changes a bit over the years or whatever it is. Anyway, so I was going between a couple of different translations just to check and make sure it was as true to it what it was as possible. You know, I didn't change anything really. Some words I shortened, I cut a few words. Like if something was a little flowery, maybe I would trim it a little bit. You know, just there was a little simplification, a small amount, but not a huge amount. I didn't sit there and butcher it. I didn't like add in a load of I didn't change it to like modern sounding words or anything like that. You know, and it just flowed, man. It was really, really magical. Now, if you're on my Patreon, you can watch videos of me making these songs because I was switching on the camera a bit while I was doing it, and it's really crazy, man. Like, literally, it would just flow. It just comes and you're like, what? You look at it on paper and this looks like a kind of almost gobbledygooky and kind of like, it looks like it's going to be difficult to say. It looks like it's really complicated and shit. And then the music and the thing comes together and you speak it and it's clear and it makes sense and it's true and it's like powerful and the melodies come out the sky, man. And you're just pulling them out the sky and they're really, really amazing melodies. This is my best shit by far, I think. It's really crazy. Like, you know, I've talked about this before, but sometimes I think what you're doing in this life is, that's why I was saying nothing about, you know, looking in the mirror and like loving what's there, doing the thinking self-love is like, oh, I'm great, whatever. You ain't great, whatever. You're useless, whatever. What you need to do is make yourself into a finely tooled machine, like a mech suit, you know, and then let God drive. You just like turn yourself into this finely tooled mech suit and then you let go. You gotta let go. People often talk to me like that, say to me, how can you reconcile Jordan Peterson and Alan Watts? They both right. This is the thing, they're both right. People are like, oh, they're completely contradictory. They're not. You know, Jordan Peterson says, you know, pick up the fucking biggest rock you can and bear it. He's like, you know, well, like, what could you be like if you stop wasting time? How's about you make yourself the best you? And Alan Watts says, you know, let go. He says people in this life, it's like, you know, you're falling off a cliff and you're hanging onto a rock that's also falling. It's like, let go. And that's both true. You know, get in congruence with your highest potential and let go and allow God to fucking drive the mech suit and amazing shit will occur. You know, and this was one of those situations where some amazing shit occurred because I let go. Part of this experiment in hyperproductivity and zone inhabitation involves a lot of letting go because you got to keep moving like that shark, you know, you got to keep moving. You can't be hanging on, you can't be second guessing, you can't be questioning. It didn't occur to me for a second to question whether turning a 2,000-year-old Stoic philosophical text philosophical text into a bunch of pop songs was a good or a bad idea, if it was weird or cool or whatever, you know. I just did it because I did it because it was the thing to do. It was the right thing to do. I trust the gods, man. And I've let go. It's enough to the point to allow them to guide me, you know, to allow them to steer this mech suit, you know. And for me to, you know, it just was obviously the right thing to do. It was just obviously the right thing to do. And it came out so good. And I really hope you enjoy it, you know, and I'm sure you will. And I really hope you find it useful. And I'm sure you will. I have. Here's the thing. Like, I know book 1 and 2 of Meditations, like, so well. I can recite it, you know? Like, I always used to say this when I started thinking about that idea that, like, the printing press robbed us of what we had, which was, we'd have whole books in us. We'd have to. And I was like, who has that nowadays? I was like, oh, rappers. That's who. Because, you know, as a rapper, I had, how many rap songs are in me? So many rap songs are in me. And they can just come out at any time, you know. So many, you know. I used to do, like, gigs, you know, I'd be rapping for hours. Hours of raps that were in me, and I remembered them, and they were very complicated. And they would all come out in sequence, you know. But, like, now I've got book 1 and 2 of Meditations just in me, and that can just come out. I can just bring it out. It's just there, you know. And now you've got it too. You can listen to it as many times as you want, as you need, and you've got it now. It's in there. Neo in the Matrix. I know Kung Fu. You know? Meaningwave is a psychotechnology. And it just evolved a little bit. Quite actually a big bit. It was a big bit. That was a big leap. I mean, you know, yeah, from the Joseph Campbell album to the Marcus album was a pretty big leap. But if you go from, like, Jordan Peterson and Akira the Don't Be a Plumber to Meditations Volume 1, that's a big fucking leap. Yo, that's a leap. That's like, that's one giant step for mankind. You know what I mean? And I'm really excited to see what we can do with this. What can we do with this? What can we do next? What can we do next? Well, I'll tell you what we're going to do next. What we're going to do next is Alan Watts. It's Alan Watts season, baby. It's spring. It's spring. Spring is sprung. And that means it's WATTSWAVE season, baby. That's what it means. And so that's pretty hype. That began this week. And last night, I armed myself with a new technology that allows me to play chords like Stevie Wonder. And that's something I've wanted as long as I can remember. And suddenly I have it. Suddenly I'm able to take melodies that are in my head and bring them into the world in seconds, which I couldn't do the day before yesterday. I couldn't do at 9 p.m. last night. But at 1 a.m. I could, and now I can forever. We live in the age of miracles and wonders, brothers and sisters. We live in the age of miracles and wonders. I am grateful to the gods from the bottom of my heart. I truly, truly am. You know, I'm super grateful that you're here. I'm just chilling with you. I love this new podcast thing. I get to chill with you. You know, there's nowhere else I'd rather be. You know. Shouts out to Lo-Fi Vibe. By the way, they featured some of our music on their legendary Lo-Fi and Chill playlist this week. If you're into Lo-Fi playlists, they got a really good one on Spotify. It's called Lo-Fi and Chill. They update it once a month. They're very, very keyed into the Lo-Fi community. They have a really, like, influential Instagram channel on their Instagram. So yeah, you should definitely check that out, and I'm very grateful to them. I'm grateful to everyone who shares the music, man. Like I say, That's our marketing strategy. Make good music and you share it. That's it. That's what we do. And it's working. Thanks to you. Meditations Volume 1, Akira the Don and Marcus Aurelius. It's out now. You can listen to that now and forevermore. Forevermore. So, yeah. Oh yeah, I was going to say, hit me up. Like, if you got any questions or anything, send me questions. You can do that, Akira the Don, at Akira the Don, on Insta or Twitter. Or you can leave questions in the Ask Akira channel on the Discord. And I'll start answering them on this podcast. And if you want to send me a voice message, you can do that. You can DM me that on Instagram, at Akira the Don. It's probably the best way to do it. You can send me a voice message. And I'll play it on here, like we did with my New Zealand homie last week, the week before last. Hey, that was cool. Anyway, yeah, I should probably call it a day. I'm trying to keep these podcasts short. Oh, but I didn't tell you, did I? I saw the My Hero Academia movie, Heroes Rising. It was really good. I took Charlotte and Hercules. Charlotte is my wife. Hercules is my son. He's 7. He loved it. Charlotte enjoyed it. She was I think she fell asleep at one point though. I think she got confused or something, but like, you know, there's a lot of fights. Me and Hercules loved it. And what it really did for me was like, I was watching it, I'm like, what is this feeling? I'm feeling something. I was like, oh shit, that feeling that I used to get when I read American superhero comics when I was a little boy and a teenager and a young man. Before the comics industry got taken over by ideologically possessed morons. I was like, yo, what is this feeling? What is this thing that's making me so excited and joyful? And I realized the clue is in the title of My Hero Academia. It's the hero bit. It's the heroism. Heroism. Like heroism. Heroism. All these cats, all the heroes in My Hero Academia are heroes. Like, they're virtuous, and not in the virtuous way you go on about it. It's where you just do it for the sake of doing it and you don't even think about it or consider it to be virtuous. That's real virtue. The virtue that speaks not its name, that isn't virtue, therefore is virtue. As Alan Watts, quoting Lao Tzu, pointed out so very well. Like, they're just out there like rescuing cats and helping old ladies and all that, and just being just being useful and helpful. And then they have to like really level up because like something like way bigger than them comes that they have to take on, and there's sacrifice. And like, you know, these cats would rather they'd rather lose their lives than innocents lose theirs. They'd rather lose their powers than evil triumph. And here's the other thing. My homie Peter pointed this out about that last Avengers movie. He's like, oh, that shit was bullshit. It's like, that wasn't heroic. I was like, well, Tony Stark did sacrifice himself. He's like, yeah, but like, he just killed everybody. And the first is like modern Western superheroes. It's like whenever there's a problem, their first thing to do is like, all right, let's kill him. You know what I mean? Just kill him. Captain Marvel just loves killing people. Like, if Captain Marvel was in the 60s or 70s, everyone would consider her to be a supervillain because she just acts like a supervillain. She's like haughty and aloof and bitchy and mean, and she just likes and seems to revel in killing people. Takes great joy and pleasure in killing people. There's some new Marvel comic in which like She-Hulk is pissed off because like some guy doesn't get as big a sentence as she thinks he should, so like she kills him, and she kills a policeman or something. Like, and it's like, I was thinking like, well, the people who invented modern superheroes Jack Kirby fought in the Second World War against the Nazis. You know, he fought in a war. You know, he was engaged in actual heroism. So for him to then go and write comics about it wasn't much of a stretch. He'd seen it, like comics that involve, you know, like fighting and like masculine kind of like feats of strength and what have you. You know, like he'd done that shit. It made sense. The people writing modern superhero comics, they fight, they squabble amongst themselves on Twitter. You know, that's their great war. Their great war is getting people cancelled. It's like bitching at each other on Twitter and ruining people's lives. Like, that's their heroism. So that's the heroes they write. I like that. You know what I mean? When they despise true heroism, because true heroism is a mirror for that which they do not possess. Same thing happening everywhere. You see it in your movies. You see it in your I don't know, your other forms of entertainment. You see it in your TV shows. Don't get me started. I mean, I don't watch TV, and I don't live in the UK, and I don't got the BBC. But I heard what you did to Doctor Who. You creepy fuck. Are you evil, creepy fucks? I heard what you did. You know what they did to Doctor Who? Beloved children's TV show, magical adventure, time-traveling escapades. They made it so that, like, the origin of Doctor Who is that, like, someone was like experimenting on a tiny child and killing them over and over and over to work out how they regenerated. And then after killing them thousands of times, they worked out how they regenerated them, and they stole that power and created the Time Lords, created Doctor Who. Imagine the bitterness and hatred that must consume your soul to do that to such a beloved story that's lasted so many generations and brought so much joy and wonder, and then you just poison it. It's not bad enough that you destroy the modern incarnation and make the modern incarnation just some like cultural Marxist, you know, man-hating, misandric, self-hating, miserable, trendy, pathetic, soy-guzzling nonsense. You have to go back in time. You think you're so smart doing it as well? You bet. You could imagine when he's like, ha ha ha, Tangel, I will go back in time and ruin it for everybody from the beginning. Ruin what was ever good and pure about it. Infect all of it with my own self-hatred, my own ridiculous view of myself and my culture, or the West, or whatever it is. Man. You think, man, these poor fools, like, what a horrible way to be. You, my friend, should read Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, or you should listen to Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, and then you'd probably understand a little bit more about nobility and virtue and how to live a useful life. You know. So yeah, maybe that's maybe what we need to do. I guess we just need to whoever the weirdos are who are desecrating our modern myths and vandalizing the Louvre. How do you say Louvre? Is it Louvre? Louvre? Drawing willies all over the Mona Lisa. All these people are just like scribbling their miserable self-hating fan fiction on top of the Bible, retconning it so that like Jesus was like a slave owner or something. You know what I mean? What is wrong with you? Anyway, it's cool though, because you know, that stuff is on the way out, for which I'm glad. And you know, it's beautiful days ahead of us. People say, "Oh, Akira the Don, are you worried about coronavirus?" I say, no. Why would I worry about something outside of my control? I concern myself with matters within my control. So with regards to coronavirus, there's always some virus. It's one every 2 years. You know, it's always, you know, every 2 years, every 4 years, every election. This is something I saw earlier that said, look, man, wash your hands. Don't high five weirdos. All right, you have to do the air high five right now. Just be careful. You know, we're going to do the international high five, and none of us will get ill from that, and it'll be great. Keep clean. Some people are going to freak out. They might run out and buy all the food in the supermarket. So just make sure you got enough food in the house to last a little bit. And you should do that anyway. My guy Naval Ravikant was on Scott Adams' show earlier, and he's like, yeah, I think it'll be good. It's like, it's just going to make us do a bunch of stuff we should have been doing anyway. Just be focused on hygiene and stuff of that nature. Make our own drugs. Don't just be relying on one random country to do all that. You know what I mean? It's going to be cool, man. Who was it? I was thinking the other day, like, they got these real crazy good toilets in South Korea. It's like, why don't we got those? I want the crazy good toilets, that like clean your bottom, for you. The talcum powder your nutsack or whatever. Little robot arm comes out, like talks your undercarriage for you. I want that. Why ain't I got that? We're live from the peak of recorded human history right here. This is the greatest time to be alive. But my toilet does not wash my nuts, and it should. Hey, well, maybe one result of this coronavirus will be that toilets will wash our nuts. And wouldn't that be a beautiful thing, brothers and sisters? Hey, I think it would. So, be cool. Don't freak out. Literally never useful. Just be smart. Control that with which is in your control, and concern thyself not with that which is without. Because any time that you're stressing about stuff outside of your control, that's time you're not attending to that which is within your control, which means you're actively causing problems. You're actively getting in the way of the natural flow of the universe. You're stopping us from frolicking amongst the stars. By stressing about nonsense on Twitter over which you have no control, you are getting in the way of us and our children frolicking in the stars like some space Bambis. And we deserve our space Bambi fun time. So, be chill. Be like the fawns. Listen to Meditations Volume 1. Wherever you listen to music. You be excellent to one another. Hey, how about that? And you make sure you're engaging in epic activities. Because you know what they say. Epic activities only in 2020. Alright? And that's word. And that's real. Thank you for being here. Love to you and your family. This has been Akira, the Don Studios, March 2020. Peak of recorded human civilization right here. Is a beautiful day to be alive. And I'm very glad to spend it with you. You, and most definitely you. Speak to you next week.